Okay, hello everyone. We're just finishing day 2 of the UN Habitats Program Evaluation Training. I have some lovely participants here with me who are going to introduce themselves.
My name is Caroline Bankusha. I've been a participant in this workshop since Monday, and I'm enjoying it.
And Caroline, where are you from?
I'm from Uganda in Kampala, and I'm the coordinator of the Kampala One-Stop Center.
Great. And who is this fine fellow?
My name is Salaam Tanzania. I'm the Habitat Country Program Manager from Tanzania, and I'm happy to join this very interesting training program.
Great. So in terms of today, we covered quite a lot of material. We talked about the 5 W's of evaluation, program evaluation. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I do recall about that, and the 5 W's were very, very interesting. Particularly one of them where I participated in the group work is about the why. Why do we have a program evaluation? There were so many reasons that we were given, and as a team we also managed to build on the reasons that we were given. I do recall some of them, and issues like maybe the conditions of the program, carry out program evaluation, and also as key actors in the one-stop centers, it helps us to track and know whether we are actually on track with our programs, and also to tell whether our beneficiaries, the young people, are interested in the program.
Great example. We also talked about complexity, and you actually made a spider web. Can you talk a little bit about complexity and what that has to do with evaluation?
Yes, it was something to do about that many times evaluation is not easy throughout. It's not. You'll find some stumbling blocks here and there. And also about the responses that you get from the different stakeholders as you carry out the evaluation. They may not be the same, they will be quite different, but it is up to you to collect all this information and later come up with data analysis.
And we talked about evaluation types. Is there one evaluation type?
No. Basically, as far as I know, there are various types of evaluation, and it remains for the evaluator to choose the best type of evaluation which he believes maybe could give him a very good result as far as evaluation is concerned. And in fact, they depend on the evaluator himself. One could choose maybe the one which he thinks is more scientific, but someone could choose maybe a different approach. So there are various types of evaluation, and it depends on the evaluator itself.
Great summary. From scientific approach to empowerment to artistic, lots of different kinds.
Yeah, I was particularly touched by the one of empowerment and utility-based. I think I'm for those, just because I think I would rather carry out the evaluation in a facilitative manner, and also utilizing the aspect of advocacy, where the beneficiaries are actually involved and participate in the evaluation.
Great. And at the UN training here, we're actually focusing on one particular model, and the acronym is PLM or LFA. Do you remember what that? We had a game where people made up different acronyms, but what does it actually stand for? Do you remember?
There is the actual one. Now also there is another one which were made out of this group, and just out of the fun. But maybe she can remind me the LFM and the PLM.
Yeah, I do remember the LFA. That's the logical framework analysis.
Yay!
Yes.
And the PLM, do you remember that one?
Local
Program.
Logic. Model.
Yay!
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
So those of you who are watching, give them a hand.
Can we do it for?
Sure.
I'm really doing it for.
And we're going to get into that a lot more in detail tomorrow. We also talked about different domains. There was 3 different domains, and this affects the kinds of indicators that you end up developing. Do you happen to remember the 3 domains?
It's the doing domain.
Yeah, doing. and
the
feeling, and
the knowing.
the knowing, right?
Yes. And sometimes you can apply the two of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes in other situations the three of them can work, but usually there's one that takes the upper hand.
Right.
In whatever situation you're in.
And what is the easiest to train?
The easiest is the knowing.
Knowing, and what's the one in the middle?
The middle is doing.
Doing. And what's the hardest one?
That has the
Feeling. Yeah, that has to do with values and attitudes, right? Okay, then we talked really briefly about ethics and evaluation. Can you talk about that for a second?
Things of confidentiality are very, very important as you carry out program evaluation. And as an evaluator, you try as much as possible, even if you bring out the titles of the people, make sure that someone doesn't get to know who that person is. Otherwise, you will be abusing the trust the person has put into you. So that one is very, very important, the issues of confidentiality.
Okay. And we had kind of one overriding sentence. Do you remember what that was? Do no harm.
Do no harm.
Yes. And the last one, you've been really gracious with your time. The last one we talked about principles. What does that have to do with evaluation? Evaluation principles. Whose principles are they?
Yeah, they are individual principles.
Yeah,
your own principles.
Yeah, the evaluator.
Because you may not be. Many times you can't apply all the types of evaluation, and it's not easy for you to follow someone else's principle. Like Lee had her own principles, but you find that many times as an individual, depending on your strengths, depending on what you're exposed to, you come up with your own principles that you really have to adopt, just like the facilitating principle.
Yeah. And principles are another way of saying beliefs, what you believe in terms of program evaluation. Well, I want to thank you, Caroline and Muta, very much for sharing the summary of today. And thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.